Do you know why I'm so excited? Because today we're going to be working on our collaboration. Mr. McWilliams and I have been working together on this Pretty Sorrow project, and I'm so excited to see what you guys make from it. You've been learning the song with Mr. McWilliams, and I have heard that your singing is coming along lovely. But what we're going to try to do is pick some images out of those lyrics today. So I talked about in the last video how while you're listening to the song, you can think about the images that are going through your mind. Well, today I want to explore some of the lyrics and maybe show you some ways to sketch some things, because your goal is to have two silhouettes that you can turn into me. And what Mr. McWilliams and I are going to do is I'm going to take a bunch of these drawings that you guys turn in, and he's going to take all the singing that you guys turn in, and we're going to combine it into our own little crankie. We're going to make like a video crankie of some of your images and some of your singing to make our own little story, and it's going to be amazing. So make sure you do your best on this and turn it in, and maybe your drawing will be one of the ones chosen to be in our virtual crankie that we'll share with all of you at the end. So sing your best, draw your best, do your best. Now, here's what we're going to do. I want to go through some of these lyrics and think about things, and I'm going to show you how to take an image from the lyric, sketch it out, and make it into a silhouette. Like I said, you want at least two of these, okay? And you can go as elaborate as you want with it, and I'll talk about that too. So let's start at the beginning of the song. It says, "When I first come to this country in 1849, I saw many fair lovers, but I never saw mine. I view it all around me, saw that I was quite alone, and me a poor stranger, a long way from home." So in this little part, it's talking about how he left his country in 1849 and how he's alone and he's a stranger traveling to a new land. So this could be a cool image to maybe draw him coming across the ocean or sailing over. So you could have kind of a cool sea picture. So maybe you want to have the big boat he's sailing on. Maybe it's got like an old-timey, like almost Mayflower type or pirate ship looking boat. And I'm just sketching it out. And maybe he's on the boat and he's waving goodbye. Okay, and it doesn't matter if it's like, perfect yet, because we're just sketching it out. So let's say this was my picture, and I sketched it out real neat. Then I'm going to get my black marker, and I'm going to silhouette it. So I just want kind of a shadow picture to go with it. So I could have taken that first little part of the song, and maybe this is the image that came to my mind from it. And you can leave some places white. Like if you look, I'm leaving these little windows white, just as a little detail. Maybe this could be my sail. Maybe I'll have some little ropes going up. I can fill in my boat. And then I'll have my little silhouette of a guy waving as he goes away. I could even have like, maybe he's leaving a dock and he's waving goodbye to Pretty Saro. And I'll put her a little hair like that. So you can see I made a fun little silhouette picture from that image. I sketched it out, I drew it. Now you might have taken a totally different idea from that. Maybe you want to have him being alone, or maybe he's sitting in his room thinking. Maybe there's a little thought cloud of the boat coming up from ahead. There's lots of ways you can go with that one. Let's move on to the second paragraph. "While it's not this long journey I'm dreading to go, or the country that I'm leaving, or the debts that I owe, there's only one thing that troubles my mind, and that's leaving my darling Pretty Sorrow behind." So I kind of captured that with this, where he's leaving her. But you could make it more about them. So maybe I want to have him like waving. I'm just doing a really quick sketch, because when you're doing silhouettes, you can always work it up and make it look better as you go. So I've got him waving, and maybe I'll put her hands kind of in front of her face, because maybe she's crying too as they're like leaving each other. But you can kind of work with it and make it look the best you can. But I've got my little sketches. I don't know if you can see that very well. And then you can kind of outline it and get it looking good. So I've got this little hand here. Maybe he's wearing a hat because we want him to be a little fancier as he's leaving. And I could fill this in as my little moment. Now I'm putting more than one of these on one page just to kind of not waste my space. But you could have this be one picture, this be one picture. And like I said, these are mine. I want you to take this however you're imagining it in your brain. Maybe you have a different vision of this story panning out in your head. So then I'll have this poor crying lady here. But you can see once you are filling in the silhouettes and the shadows, it does make it more of an interesting picture. And you can imagine this going by as a crankie. It would be pretty cool. So I've got that. The third verse is another version of being alone and wandering. It says, "Fare thee well to old mother, fare thee well to father too. I'm going to ramble this wild world all through. And when I get weary, I'll sit down and cry for leaving my darling Pretty Saro behind." So this could be a really good image of him like sitting down and crying. Maybe he's in like a chair. We can have his head down, his hands over his face. You could have some tears going up like he's crying. You know, I'm just kind of putting down a silhouette. I could put his little chair. And again, once you sketch it out, you can start outlining to make it look more detailed. So maybe he's like sitting in the chair, slumped over, crying about his lost love that he left behind. I kind of like him with the hat, so I'm going to put his hat back on. That's kind of cool. And I could have little teardrops going like, whoa! Maybe he's got a little tissue that he's blowing. But I can have him sitting there crying about his lost love. So, again, these are just ideas. I want to see what you come up with. Yours might be totally different than Mr. Galloway's. Now, this last part of the song has some really good imagery you could use. "Well, I wish I was a turtle dove, had wings and could fly. Right now to my lover's lodging, tonight I'd draw nigh. And there in her lily white arms, I'd lie there all night and watch from the little windows for the coming of day." Whoops, I said that wrong. I thought it should say light. But what we're going to do is you can think of that last part of the song. It's got some cool imagery, like the turtle dove. I like that. So you could draw like, you know, maybe there's a little bird flying. You could have like a little bird shape. Or maybe, I like the idea of him looking out the window. So you could draw like a window shape. And the sun's coming up. And he's like watching out the window for it to come up. Put his hat back on, I don't know. So, you know, there's lots of cool images you could come up from that. So I might even leave a little white spot for my bird's eye, just to have one more little detail. But I could draw the bird's body. I could have some feathers for its wings. Maybe the bird's gone, my dude's right here. I could have his eye visible too, as he's watching out the window for the sun to come up once more. So there's lots of really cool images you can kind of come up with from just these lovely lyrics of the song. And I want some kind of black and white silhouette pictures to go with them. Okay. Now, like I said, I want you to take 2 moments and draw 2 things that you hear from this song. It could just, like the bird could be one, the boat could be one, the crying could be one, the waving goodbye, the window, anything from the song that you think would be a really cool silhouette picture. And if you do, draw like one little silhouette and take a really good picture of it. Like, you know, try to focus on just the silhouette, not you standing there holding it, but just try to take just a picture of the silhouette so that I can use it in this video. And I'm gonna try to put together a lot of the ones you guys make, and it'll go along with the song, and it'll be so cool. So, make some awesome art, and maybe yours will get chosen for our crankie that we make together, okay? And if you guys like this idea of making a crankie, I can even show you a really cool way to make your own crankie as a final part of this project next week. All right, I'll talk to you then. Bye, guys.